Welcome back. Do you believe that anything will happen after we die? I mean, do you have any sort of faith in any kind of life after death? Many people believe that there will be something that happens to us after we end this life here on earth. I mean, we try to not talk about that. And then one of our loved ones passes, and that kind of stirs up our interest in the topic of life after death. Some people think that people will be incarnated into another human being in another time or in another universe, or probably into another creature. Many people believe that there will be a physical resurrection in which we will be standing before the judgment seat of God. In the biblical times, there used to be a sect of the Jews called the Sadducees, and they did not believe that there was any life after death. The reason was that they believed in only the first 5 books of the Bible, and they did not believe in the rest of the Hebrew Bible, as opposed to another sect that was called the Pharisees that believed in the entire Hebrew Bible, which what we call the Old Testament. And yet the Bible tells us that the earliest reference to the resurrection was as early as the first book of the Bible and the book of Genesis. We don't directly know about that until we read the book of Hebrews, when we read in chapter 11 about the story of Abraham when God commanded him to offer his son. The reason the book of Hebrews tells us why Abraham was confident that he can offer his son and get him back was that he did believe in the resurrection. The story says that God commanded Abraham to offer his son on Mount Moriah, and Abraham was very disturbed because Isaac was his only son, and God promised that Abraham would be a great nation through Isaac, and Abraham had to wait for a long time to get Isaac, and moreover, Isaac was the child that was promised that the whole world would be blessed through him. We read that Abraham, in faith and the hope of the resurrection, took Isaac with him, and he was planning to offer him on Mount Moriah, on the Temple Mount, what we call today the Temple Mount. And God told him, do not lay your hand on the boy, and he replaced him with a ram instead to offer. When the book of Hebrews tells this story, it concludes with the fact that Abraham believed that God was able to raise his son from the dead. In another part of the New Testament, we read about the story of Paul when he was standing in judgment, and they were about to judge him because they accused him of being a troublemaker. The actual charge was that he was preaching the gospel, and not many people liked that. And Paul realized that there were many Pharisees and Sadducees standing in the same courtroom, and he intelligently used that to his favor, and he said that he was being judged for the hope of the resurrection, which was true, because what Paul was preaching was the hope of the resurrection that the gospel message preaches. The gospel provides us with this hope that we will live forever after we are raised from the dead. During this season, as we remember the coming of Christ, we cannot but remember the hope that builds us in Christ, and that is the resurrection from the dead. مرحبا. نستمر في حديثنا هذا اليوم عن مادة الرجاء. هل تؤمن بالحياة بعد الموت؟ معظم الناس يعتقدون أن هناك شيء سيحدث بعد أن يموتوا، قد يعاد خلقهم إلى خليقة أخرى على سبيل المثال، أو إلى بشر يعيشون في مكان أو زمان آخر. وهناك أناس يؤمنون أنهم سيقومون، أو أن أجسادهم ستقوم من الموت وسيقفون أمام عرش الله. يقول الكتاب المقدس أنه كانت هناك طائفة في الأزمنة الكتابية، طائفة يهودية تدعى الصديقيون، وهؤلاء لم يؤمنوا بالقيامة لأنهم آمنوا بالأسفار ال5 الأولى من الكتاب المقدس فحسب، على عكس الفريسيين الذين آمنوا بكل باقي الكتاب المقدس. ولكن الكتاب المقدس يقول أن أول إشارة للقيامة هي في أول سفر من أسفار الكتاب المقدس، سفر التكوين. لا نعلم تلك الحقيقة حتى نقرأ الرسالة إلى العبرانيين، حينما نقرأ قصة إبراهيم وهو يقدم ابنه ذبيحة. تقول القصة أن الله أمر إبراهيم أن يقدم ابنه على جبل الموريا، واللي هي مكان بيت المقدس حاليا. وتقول أيضا أن سبب ثقة إبراهيم أنه سيستعيد ابنه هو رجاء إبراهيم بقيامة الأموات، أي أن إبراهيم كان يؤمن بقيامة الأموات، ولذلك شعر بالثقة حينما أطاع أمر الله بتقديم ابنه. يستنتج سفر العبرانيين تلك القصة بالقول أن إبراهيم حسب أن الله قادر على الإقامة من الأموات أيضا. ويتحدث جزء آخر من الكتاب المقدس عن محكمة بولس الرسول حينما وقف بتهمة إثارة البلابل في الدولة الرومانية، ووجد أن المحكمة كانت مليئة بالصدوقيين والفريسيين، واستخدم ذلك لمصلحته حينما قال على رجاء قيامة الأموات أنا أحاكم. كان بولس يبشر الإنجيل ولكنه ركز على مادة قيامة الأموات، لأن الإنجيل فيه رجاء القيامة والحياة الأبدية. ونحن نتذكر مجيء المسيح لنتذكر أيضا الرجاء أو رجاء القيامة الذي يبني إيماننا على صخرة المسيح.